Well, last year this apple tree was fantastic, and I learned a lesson that's been known for a long time, and that's if you thin out the fruit you get larger fruit, and that's pretty important. You don't want loads and loads of tiny apples. But last year I didn't thin the fruit out until they got quite established really. Most of them were, I'd say, 1 to 1.5 inches across. So this year, in the interest of putting all the energy into fewer apples, I'm going to take the apples that are clusters and thin them very early. And I don't know, there's a risk, because if the remaining apples come a cropper, then I won't get very much. But I think it's a risk worth taking. So I'm going to start thinning them now. Well, whilst I've got these secateurs out, I'm going to get some of these brambles out of the way. They're growing so prolifically right now. And I think I might do what one of our viewers suggested, which is to use them on one of the beds to see if I can keep the cats off. And the bed that I'm getting the most damage on from cats is the cow. So I think I'm going to use these and see if I can deter them. If I leave these here for too long, then they start to snag the nets in a bad way. There's a bit of barbed wire here, so it's a bit of a pain, but there we are. At least that keeps the worst of it away. In this area, it's not so much keeping the brambles down as this maple, which I keep control of all the time, just to make sure I get plenty of light into the bed. But it does grow fairly rapidly. There is a bit of bramble in here. And this is a climbing rose that I put in here probably 4 years ago, and it's never flowered. And this year it's got buds all over it, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. So the theory is, if you put these really nice spiky brambles into this space, then the cats will be deterred. Let's give it a go. Although I've got to say, it does work against my, well, OCD for keeping things looking tidy. But if it keeps the cats off for a while, I think it'll be worth it. Okay, let's see. Here's hoping. Well, I'm beginning to think that this plant I've got here isn't necessarily a squash or a pumpkin, but I've got a space, so I'm going to use it. I think it's probably a courgette, and we're going to have plenty of courgettes, that's for sure, but it seems a shame to waste the space. So it's in, and I've got one more plant here which I think is a cucumber, which I don't think would survive outside. So onward. Well, this should keep the chickens going for a little longer. We feed our chicken with layers pellets, and well, these bags are not too bad. They're sort of £7 or £8 per bag, but we managed to sell a few of the eggs that we get from the chickens, because they certainly lay more than we eat, and that seems to pay for the feed. So it's cost neutral in that respect, and of course we get the eggs. Good times. Well, layers pellets contains everything that a chicken needs in terms of food. But what I do is add some of this oyster shell into the mix, and that just makes sure that they get plenty of calcium intake as well. and it does help them in their crop to digest anything they eat. So you can give them this in a separate tray, but they tend not to eat it, or at least mine don't. So I just mix it in with the layers pellets and they get an even feed of it. When I put this celeriac in, everything else got going, but this particular one took a bit of a hit for some reason and is not doing particularly well. So I'm not going to leave it in. It seems silly whilst I've got some spares. So I'm just going to dig it out and put one of these soil block ones in that's doing particularly well. And hopefully that will catch up with the others. And this weaker plant, which does look like it's having difficulty, can go on a compost bin. So cover that one back over. I'll give him a bit of a water to get him going, and hopefully he'll catch up soon. Just noticed a couple of mare's tail. Get them out while I'm in there. There we go. I don't know about you, but I've suffered from hay fever most of my life, and in recent years, in my adult life, it's not been too bad at all. But these last couple of weeks have been the worst hay fever I've had during my adult life that I can remember. And I suffer mainly from the grass pollen, and it probably doesn't help that I've let that area around the raspberries get a bit, well, tall with grass. But it's certainly a difficult year for pollen, and well, it's just one of those things gardeners have to put up with, but it is a pain. Hope you're not suffering. Well, lots of people were asking me in the comments whether I make nettle tea or any of the liquid feeds, and I do, but I make it fairly rarely. And the only real reason I use it is for these pumpkins and squashes, which are pretty hungry plants. And if I get any plants that are beginning to yellow or look like they've got a bit of a problem, and this is a combination of nettle and some comfrey and some worm wee out of the worm composter, and I just feed it fairly liberally and water these plants with it on a reasonably regular basis, no set regime. And these tubes, which I know a number of you said you thought were a good idea, they certainly help this process because they get all the feed down to the roots, which is just where it's needed. And it takes no time at all to feed what would otherwise be quite a difficult feeding and watering regime. Now, last time on my video, I said that I don't often recommend things. And then when I watched it back, I noticed that I made 3 recommendations, which was a bit unusual. But today I'm going to make another one. And I'm not affiliated with this company. I won't make any money from it. And I'm not going to leave any links. But these watering cans by Ward are fantastic. The number of times I move from a rose to just the spout is continual when I'm on the plot, and that convenient holding position on there just makes it so simple that I don't lose these, and I'm good at losing things, so it's helpful. The same feed is really useful for the courgettes. So I guess I am using a fair amount of feed, but I don't make too much. But these courgettes will benefit from just a little bit of that good stuff. Well, these potatoes were in the polytunnel, and as I've said before, they haven't done so well. In fact, they've completely died back now, and I think it's time for me to harvest them. And it may just be that they came on that much quicker in the warmth of the polytunnel, and that actually they're fine underneath. So there's only one way to find out, and that's to get them out. So I've got 4 of these, and the plan is to empty all 4 of them, because I don't think they're going to improve at all now. And all these others which were grown from the get-go outside, I'm just going to leave to carry on. They're flowering, but they're certainly not mature enough yet to start thinking about harvesting. Having a bit of a seagull moment. Okay, so I'm going to get my barrow, turn these out, and let's see how they're getting on. Well, I've got some exciting news. I'm feeling very humble. I've been invited by Ellie from the kitchen garden with Ellie and Kate to be part of a collaboration. Sounds fantastic. Sunday the 11th of July at 2 p.m. Make sure you're there. It's going to be fun. Wow, the rain's coming in now. So let's get on with this. I'll get these tops out and then we'll empty the bucket and see what lies beneath. Hopefully we'll have a bit of a crop. What I am sure of is that the first potatoes of the year always seem to be the tastiest. So hopefully that'll be the case on this occasion. Right, let's get a bucket into the barrow and we'll find out whether growing potatoes in the polytunnel early is worthwhile or just a total disaster. Right, here goes. Got myself a bucket. Might just be a bit hopeful. Oh no, that's looking good. Now these are Charlotte potatoes, which is what I always grow, and they make fantastic salad potatoes. But to be honest, they're great with anything, and today it's going to be pie. Now down to the next level, because I tend to grow them just slightly different levels, and they're still coming. Well, perhaps I was a bit quick to say that it wasn't going to work, because they certainly look good. There's no blemishes on any of these. Some of them are a bit small, but I don't mind that at this stage. Mind you, that one, just perfect. Right, keeping on coming. Another one, another one, another one. Lots of tiddlers coming up now, but that's fine too. The thing is with these really early potatoes, you don't need to peel them. You just pop them in the pot. Give them a bit of clean, of course, but pop them in the pot and they just cook lovely, and the skins are so soft you don't even know they're on there. Well, I'll keep going through this one and the other 3, and we'll see what I end up with. Well, I keep all my compost, as you know, and these 4 used barrels of compost will be used next time. And I put all this compost together so it goes through the winter, and I feed it. You've probably seen that on some of my earlier videos, and I think this is now probably 3 years old, but it's still going well. And that's not a bad first crop of potatoes. And these were fairly weakly plants because I took them out of the polytunnel and they were looking a bit forlorn, but they'll make great eating, and they're early. So this is where the compost is going for now, and this is still nearly full from last year because I didn't use everything, but this compost is going straight on top. It won't take long before that's a completely full composter. There we go. And then I'll feed that probably a little bit later on in the season. I may even take it out and put it back in because I've got 2 or 3 of these spare, and that'll be next year's compost. So don't forget, the 11th of July at 2 p.m. be there or be square. I do hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, click the subscribe button, click the like button, and if you want updates from me each time I upload a video, click the bell and select all. I do hope you have a great day. Diolch yn fawr.